Recording. Fantastic. Okay. Alrighty. So, wow, we have a unique set of circumstances. I'm sure everybody was on the call just a few minutes ago, and as you know, Buick GMC is rolling right behind it in 9 more minutes. So, thank you everybody for joining us. I see we have some additional faces, which is fantastic. I'm going to do it the way we always do. I think it works best. It minimizes chaos. So I'll just do a little bit of a setup, and then I'm going to go around the room individually. If you could just share your perspective, your thoughts, what you're thinking about. I personally am going to take copious notes, but it's obviously also being recorded. So that'll help out a lot. If you could mute yourself uh, while other folks are talking, that would sure be helpful. We'd appreciate that, and we'll go from there. So obviously, we're our entire nation, the world is facing this crazy crisis. We're all probably experiencing different levels of nervousness and things of that nature. I'll tell you just a personal sentiment. My bride of 43 years now is fantastic, but she does have some lung issues. She experienced pneumonia several years ago, and it was a tough comeback for her. We just had a clear check of health about 4 years ago. She had experienced breast cancer, fought it, had surgery, very successful, is in great shape, but we're both in our mid 60s and we appear to be right in the sweet spot of this thing. So we are taking everything very seriously, from not hugging our daughter and son-in-law and all the other people we love who come and go as we go by. So not that we're completely freaked, but we're definitely extremely cautious. Having said that, as the leadership team said, we're here. There's two different issues. One is, helping them make money, sell vehicles, but also to keep their customers, their employees, and their teams safe. We think the same for you. A quick public service announcement. David Kohler, Ron, and I, and several other people are putting on 4 separate training sessions on GoToMeeting, virtual sessions in general. They'll be tomorrow, Tuesday, 1 and 4, and also on Thursday, 1 and 4. I'm available individually if you want to follow up, and we'll add more sessions if needed. We have to really get strong at that, and as I say, we need to become, in my opinion, the standard bearer. I look at this as a great opportunity for us to step up and show that we're kind of the leader of the pack, if you will. We can guide them through this stuff. So there you have it. We've got lots of folks, which I appreciate. I'm staying on as long as it takes. I just got a coffee, a half calf for mid-afternoon, but I am ready to rock and roll. So as always, I'm going to go through. I'm going to start off with my brother, Stephen Colbert, because Steve, I know you're going to jump off to the Buick GMC call and then lead the discussion afterwards. Steve, what strikes you? What are your thoughts about this whole thing from what we just learned in the whole situation?
Well, I think the message is Chevy cares. Carrie was texting me at one point regarding the small gestures, and it is those small gestures.
I think we lost you, Steve, for a second there. Are you still with us, Steve?
Yeah, I was getting an emergency phone call from my community. My wife will get the same call, so I don't need to take it.
Okay.
Sorry.
No problem.
Yeah, it rang really funny on my phone. But no, I think, dealers that can really embrace those small gestures. I even, somebody else, Patty, pointed out one of the small gestures on on one of the commercials that they're running. And I think, refraining from handshakes is important. I was recently challenging my father to be more diligent about, social space and things like that. He's got a lot to learn still, but I did hug my own daughter, and I will hug my own kids as long as they're practicing decent hygiene. But it's those small gestures, and I think that's one of the things Steve Majuris spoke about with some of the small gestures. So, can really kind of provide some level of comfort with small gestures.
Gotcha. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it. I'm going to try to get on your call later. Really appreciate it, man. Really do. So let's, Amy Hunt, a recent addition to the team. I know, Amy, you touched in a little bit on the last Barnstormers. This is a very unique situation. From your perspective, with your background in automotive, 6 years with OnStar, before that, now joining us. How does all this strike you, and what are your thoughts about communicating with your dealers as we go forward?
I don't know how I'm going to be honest with you. I think I'm going to try to work a little bit with my district sales managers, trying to see how they're going to leverage it as well. Definitely mention it. And as we were going through it on the call, I was thinking, oh, this is a great opportunity for playbook in my head. So, I think I might try to lean in that direction. But yeah, it's still all pretty new, but I have some thoughts running through my head that I'm going to try to work on and see what works out best. I was even thinking I might buy a vehicle at this point. This is looking pretty nice, to be honest.
Well put, no doubt. And Amy, I know you're going forward. You're such a great pickup for us, and you're going to contribute a lot. But I'll tell you, listen to this gang we got in here right now. It doesn't seem it as the ideas are trickling out. But once the summary comes together, it's going to be one powerful experience today. So thanks for that. It's important, and appreciate you. Really do. Hey, Mr. Fletcher, I thought I'd jump in the middle of the pack. Mr. John Fletcher. John, how you feeling? What are you thinking, brother? How you feeling about this whole thing?
Well, I think Chevrolet's really set the tone as far as coming out and using the Chevy Cares, and I think that's the thing that we need to get out and push with our dealers, that we're out here they and we are out here to help our fellow citizens to get through this. I think a couple of things that I had thought about prior to the announcement was the web stuff that you and David Kohler are going to cover tomorrow and Thursday. I think that'll be an additional source of great information that we can tie into how to go to market, if you will, or how can we help the community better in serving them. So I'm just still waiting to hear everybody else's thoughts.
Yep. Thank you, John. Appreciate that. Always helpful, man. Very good. Okay. Hey, I'm going to jump over to Miss Dawn Elliott. Dawn, I meant to call you today, and we've been swamped, man, from early this morning right on through. But that was a really nice 2-pager that you put together. Would you mind talking about that 2-page document you sent to your zone, where you got your ideas from, and what are you hoping to accomplish with it?
There, can you hear me?
We hear you now. Good afternoon, Miss Elliott.
Oh, good. Good afternoon. So the question of where did I get my ideas? That's a very good question. And I think most of it came from the emails that I got from the variety of places that have my email address that wanted to assure me that I could still do business with them. And then I was thinking about some of the things that we used to talk about in the service lane with the white gloves and every video that I watched and everything that I saw showed somebody wiping down surfaces. So that's why I was talking about, okay, so customers don't want to come in, but they still want to get it done. And of course they want to get it done because we're in a time of crisis and they might need their vehicle. So I started with service, and then the whole time I was trying to figure out, because the impetus was the shop, click, drive email. And all I could think about was Carvana is going to eat our lunch on this one because they already do all of this. So then I thought about all the ways in which Carvana delivers the vehicle and how does that happen? And there's virtually no contact. And so between shop, click, and drive and then delivering it to their driveway, I know there is an insurance component, which I did put in there. But I was just thinking about how can we still serve the customer without actually having to touch them. So, and part of me was like assuring them that it's safe, but you can't assure anyone that anything is really safe. So what precautions are you taking to keep your own people safe and the customers as safe as possible was kind of the way I approached it. And yeah, with the closing, because Maryland has closed everything as of 5 o'clock today, so we've got another hour, but you can still, do takeout or you can have it delivered. So it's the whole no contact thing. So if we can just capitalize on that and let people know that we're here to help. And that was the last part of that. I think the very last thing I said on there was, just reach out to your customers and ask them if they need anything, because before everything, we're human. I think somebody said on the call earlier that, we should have antibacterial stuff available, but some of us don't have it. And some of the businesses out there specifically don't have it. So if you've got extra and you can donate it to a small business or a dealership, that would be awesome. It would be nice if they had extra toilet paper at the rate we're going around here. No one has any, or bread for that matter. But I mean, it's a joke. I think somebody was sent a meme earlier about how many toilet paper rolls is it going to take to get you to buy this vehicle. But I think we have to approach it with practicality and come up with ways in which we can do business without actually having to, with staying within that 6 foot, 6 foot social distancing piece and taking it seriously. That's pretty much all I got.
Very good, Dawn, and great work. Really appreciate it. And I appreciate you asking. I was going to mention Patty and I took Dawn's and just kind of tweaked it slightly, like we do with anything else. It just took a really good product. I think aesthetically cleaned it up, changed this and that and the other thing, but the heart of it's there. Great job again of pulling ideas. I love the way you did that from different industries. So, and we're making that available to all the leads. And I could get it to you today, if you want. I see everybody on this list, and I can, everybody invite, I'll send an email to. So she did a great. Dana sent it out. Okay, good. Thanks. Whatchamacallit. So that's a great way to go. Now, as we go forward, I would ask you to think a little bit about. We're going to do the virtual tomorrow. A lot of you are already masters at the virtual, but think in terms of how wide you're going to cast your net, so to speak. You're going to do pointed conversations, one-on-ones, perhaps 2 or 3 people at the dealer like you do normally. You also have great opportunities to maybe hit a district. I know some of you do that. I see Dave Karasic's in the house. He does a great job. Used to. I don't know how you're doing it these days, Dave. We'll hear from you in a minute. But influencing that. Robin Farrow, I know she fires stuff out to the entire zone. So keep that in mind. About casting your net. Those who are still able to physically go into dealers, obviously proceed with caution, but messaging will be big. Since Ann, you jumped in, good afternoon. Haven't talked to you in a while. How you doing, Ann? And what are you thinking about as we go forward with this situation? Ann Carell.
Hey, Kevin. Hey, Dawn. Great document, and appreciate you sharing that. And I was already, thinking about the whole stop, click, drive and delivering a vehicle. So obviously, a lot of other people, are mentally going down that same path. My strategy right now, in fact, I got a call with my zone manager tomorrow, but my strategy right now is just to really focus on how to make myself digitally, virtually effective. So hoping that, the client doesn't panic. I think it's really incumbent upon us to prove ourselves in the digital space right now, and that we can be effective support and still move the ball virtually with our clients. And so I'm just really appreciate this phone call and everybody sharing ideas so that we can all remain effective BDMs.
Fantastic. Thank you, Ann. Really appreciate that. And powerful point. My thinking is this is an opportunity, man. I mean, it's a drag. We all have to deal with it. But in this whole dynamic of the GM core wholesale field staff, the other vendors that are in there, the retailers. We need to become the standard in how to operate in this way. You talk about long-term value. This is our great opportunity to step up. We're good. We're going to get even better. Hey, Scott McMaster, wherefore art thou? Yeah, are you on, Scott? Are you with us? It looks like you might have got bumped. Are you with us, Scott? Okay, well, wait, I think Scott got bumped. So when you get back, hey, Scott Whitmer, how you doing, Scott? Haven't talked to you in a little while. Also, hope you're doing well. How you feeling, and what are your thoughts as we go forward with this deal?
Hello, brother Kevin. How you doing?
I'm fantastic, man.
Right now we're in the process of getting all of our dealers enrolled with Shop Click Drive. It's a great program. Most of them currently are, and to build on that and to build on the 0 to 60 coronavirus update that Steve Hill presented on Friday, I guess it was, or Saturday, I sent out an idea for the zone. I've got a good relationship with the field, and so they received this on Saturday. But it's about creating an outbound campaign, offering a concierge service to in-home product presentations and demonstrations. And the targeted audience would be the in-market playbook households driving light vehicles that the dealership wants to focus on selling. So really, basically, all they need to do is utilize CSSR E-Strike and create a message emphasizing we'll bring the vehicle to you, as opposed to the customer having to come into the dealership. They could include a very simple message leveraging the current incentives and the new rates that were just announced. The targeted audience could be, as I mentioned, in-market playbook households driving light vehicles with delivery dates between 2000 and 2016. Priority status A, B, and C within a 10 to 15 mile radius of the dealership, because we've got 43 dealers in the Chicago area, very, very close proximity. But they could create one or two of these outbound campaigns a week using one or two models for each campaign, and then filter the raw playbook data by sales consultant and just hit the calls. Just start hitting the phones. Call 24 to 36 hours after the campaign is sent to schedule the in-home product presentations and demonstrations, followed by in-home deliveries. And the cool thing about this is that it's a proactive campaign to drive business, but it also demonstrates to our customers that we care about them, which will enhance our relationship with those customers and long-term retention. And it fits right in with the Chevy Cares program that was just announced. On top of that, I really like Dawn's idea about gloves. My wife and I were in a wedding down in New Orleans a couple weeks ago, and every Uber driver had a pair of those white surgical gloves on. And it just really, like you said, it's the little things that make a big difference. That spoke volumes to us, that it's just a little gesture that showed they cared about their customers that were getting in the vehicle. Service advisors could do that too very, very easily, because everything speaks in the dealership. So those are just some of my thoughts and my ideas. And you look at Amazon, Costco, Home Depot, like Dawn mentioned, they're all doing that right now. There's no reason why car dealerships can't provide that concierge service as well. So there you have it.
Scott, appreciate it, brother. That was awesome, man. That is really a great way to kind of package that up, that whole idea of the outbound concierge service, the home demo and home delivery. The E-Strike usage is a great idea, pulling the right names from Playbook. I've been thinking a little bit today about that, how to do Playbook or whatever data mining we're doing smarter. And certainly mileage, I think, is going to be a player we probably might want to consider narrower focus there. So that's pretty good. If you get anything kind of formalized on that, Scott, we'd sure appreciate sharing in the community like we always do, brother. But thank you very much, man. Thank you. Miss Feynman. Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
Oh, hey, it's the other Scott. I'm sorry.
Oh, good.
You
Scott,
called my name, and I
okay,
went to take myself off mute, and I hung up on you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Scott McMaster. So, Scott, I was reading some of your stuff recently that you got going on. The patience factor Tell us, well, overall, how you feeling about this whole thing, and what's been that message you've been kind of percolating with your
Yeah,
dealers?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think, right or wrong, I think everybody's probably got it prepared that this is going to be a lot longer than people think. And this week in particular is going to be the chaos week. I mean, there are going to be news conferences nationwide and things closing and 50-person windows getting tighter and things like that. And every dealership person and even the district people, as we all, I mean, I'm one of the most chill people that I know, and even I can feel a little anxiety. It's going to affect us all. So I'm really going to try to pace myself, and there are a ton of great ideas. All these ideas that we're talking about here are great, but I think if we go and hit them with let's do a playbook campaign tomorrow, we're going to be a little bit too soon. And I think my plan is to pace myself. I'm going to talk a little bit about how everybody's doing. Have they done things to maybe take advantage of cleaning up the customer areas in the dealership, showing the customers that they're being clean, take some Facebook photos and post them with gloves and everything on. And again, that visual really will help. Get everybody into the shop click drive, take a breath, and then maybe to start next week, see how everybody's doing and say, where do we want to start? And if they want to start with a playbook campaign, or if they want to start with maybe going through and just enrolling people in my rewards, or getting people signed up for Truck Legends as something during their downtime, I think we're going to have weeks ahead of us for that kind of activity. And I think we just ease, not that I want to slow things down, but I just don't know if the customer base is ready, even with the good incentives, to jump into this fully. We'll have some customers that'll take advantage of the incentives of the messaging, but I'm thinking more it's going to be long term, and I think it might really even be closer to the end of this month or April before everybody's a little tired of being boarded up and looking for a little bit of action, and that's probably when we'll get our most bang for the buck. Just my thought.
Yeah, well put. I love the idea of the active. I think it wouldn't be a bad idea to, even if it's to the point where it's like ridiculously sterile, but to still have somebody just visually out there, a particular employee that's wiping periodically, so it's almost a little bit on the show side, but you're clearly showing that this dealership is clean. That's great. I love the patience idea. Till the soil a little bit. Yeah, everybody's in just kind of a numb state right now, emotionally, and I think they're scared. Certainly fear for their loved ones, particularly the senior relatives and all that. So really good point. But I think till the soil is not a bad message before we plant the seed, so to speak. Well done as always, Scott. We appreciate you, man. Alex, Miss Fengman, how are you? Good afternoon, and how you feeling about all this, Alex? And what are your thoughts going forward?
Hi, doing good. Sorry for the background noise. My neighbors are building a pool in their backyard today.
The nerve of those
people. Yeah. So no, things are good. I think, the approach I'm going to take moving forward is for sure not only just distancing myself from dealerships because I don't live in my zone. So traveling, let alone myself, into that territory is kind of, putting me at an uneasy area. But I think I'm going to just try and focus on virtual meetings, focus on Playbook, Service Smarts Online, and go from there. So.
Sorry about that. Yeah, well put, Alex. I think that's a pretty sensible thing, and I think from that, other opportunities will become apparent as you go forward. In doing that, I think the combination of what Scott was talking about, both the Scott Whitmer and McMaster, but that idea that how when a factory faces a new product, they obviously have to retool. In a sense, I think some of these dealers, from a process standpoint, might have to retool. And we talk about the ease of delivery and a home demo and those kinds of things. But are you really equipped to do that? Are you staffed to do that? Are you ready to do a professional presentation and so on? So I think what you're talking about, Alex, will lend itself really well to the other things. So thank you for the thoughts. Very helpful. I'm gonna ask Ms. Marcia Miller, my old partner down in the Southeast. How are you? My young partner, I should say, my former partner, former teammate, Miss Marcia Miller. How are you? And what's going on in that creative mind of yours?
Well, good afternoon. And I think that we're all a little bit shaken with this. I know I certainly am. And I've been thinking basically the same thing as all of the things really that Dawn had on her sheet. I was thinking about too. I'm getting these emails from all these different retailers that have my email address, you know, that we're here to help and we're still here to provide services and that kind of thing to you, and here are the steps that we're taking to protect our customers and that kind of thing. So I was thinking kind of the same thing. I think I agree with Scott McMasters about I think we all just need to take a beat here and we need to figure out how we're going to approach this, because I think everybody's kind of scrambling right now and we're all kind of in that we're spooked phase about this, and rightly so. And so we need to figure out how we're going to go about this. I think doing some videos coming from the dealership. I think the OnStar offer about, you know, how they're there to help in different situations, I think would be a great thing to do. I really like Scott's idea about taking a video of you cleaning the dealership and getting prepared for customers or however it is that we're going to do business. I also have been trying to think about how we can utilize our goodwill and maybe with our CTP vehicles. I'm not sure yet, you know, if you need a vehicle or you need something and then showing those vehicles being cleaned down afterwards. I don't know. I just feel like there's got to be some goodwill we can do here during this time with dealers in the community. I just am not sure how to put that together yet. So that's kind of where I am. I definitely think some word tracks about when we do offer some outbound campaigns, making sure that we have some really great word tracks to go along with those, so that we're being, like Steve said, that, you know, we're showing that we're caring. It's not just about selling the vehicle, but it's about caring about the well-being of everybody. So I think it's important to have those word tracks also included in any type of outbound campaign that we're thinking about creating, and just being mindful of what's on customers' minds right now. So that's kind of where I am.
It's good, Marcia. As always, appreciate that. Yeah, couple of things go to mind as you're talking. You know, in one of my former careers, I was actively involved with weaponry, and one of the first lessons you taught is there's 3 steps: ready, aim, and then fire. And I think, you know, Scott McMaster brought that home as good as anybody. You certainly piggybacked on that. Yeah, we need to take a breath, ready ourselves, and really take a careful look. I think initially making yourself available, letting them know you're there to support any initial ideas you've got. But going forward, the thrust, if you will, I think we really need to really zoom in and focus and take a good aim before we start really firing stuff out there. The word tracks are supposedly coming. I was trying to get screenshots the best I could during that thing. Here you go, right here. So I think we may be involved actually in building these things, but BDC scripts are coming, and that's a good point. The wording involved within that is going to be very critical, Marcia. So good point. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it as always. Somebody is signed in as the South Central Region BDM. That tells me you've been using your regional login, which is great. Who might that be? Who is our South Central Region BDM? Okay. We'll hold off on that. Jumping down, Mr.
Hey,
Thomas.
Kevin.
Oh, go ahead.
Kevin.
Go ahead.
All right, this is Anderson. I'm on the Cadillac side of the South Central region, but
Good, brother.
I'm calling on my
How you
phone.
doing, Anderson?
So, hey, doing well. And I'm not sure if that's how the login came in, but I'll represent for the South Central Cadillac region.
You the man. So how you feeling about it? What are you thinking with your work?
Well, you know, I mean, I definitely concur with everything that's been said on the phone, and done a dealer visit today, and as everyone mentioned, it's kind of spooked everyone, but definitely taking the precautionary measures. So my meeting today with the team was more geared towards making contact via email with customers using all of the Service Marts Online list and whatnot, ensuring confidence into the customer and letting them know that they're taking the precautionary measures in order to facilitate business and communicate with them, but also making sure that when they do those communications that they have a call to action within the email communications that they're sending out. So definitely wanting to restore confidence all while giving them, great communication about what's going on and how they are taking the necessary steps on the front end to make sure that everything is taken care of.
And what a great, to several folks made the point, most recently, Marcia, this goodwill piece. Well, I was going through, I did a virtual session today with a dealer in Southern Jersey. It was strictly on the service side and heavy on My Rewards redemptions. And they were blown away at how many people, were due for an oil change. Of course, we were more at the 20% factor off the BDC alert list, but had the money sitting there to more than easily pay for the experience. Plus, they could upsell a little bit. So that might tie right in nicely. I do appreciate. I know you are a road warrior, Mr. Anderson, and you rock and roll. Appreciate the input. Very helpful. Certainly do. Mr. Tonkel, Boston, Massachusetts. Simon, how you been? I haven't talked to you in a little while either. How you feeling about all this? What are you thinking, brother?
So I think a lot of this has to go back to the basics that we focused on all along, and that's that word that you like and that we live every day, and that's flexibility. I'm finding, depending on where you are in the country, things are very different. Much like Delaware, starting tomorrow, our governor has ordered all restaurant dining rooms to be closed. I received an email today from my gym. When they close tonight, they're closed indefinitely. I got my first cancellation on a meeting that I had for this Friday. The dealership has cut back their hours and is having only essential employees, and the owner is contemplating shutting down all three of his dealerships. So I think we really just have to work closely hand in hand with the zone to meet their expectations, to assist them anywhere we can, while also respecting and being mindful of the dealerships, and what their goals are. What do they really want out of this? We're there to help them answer any questions, but if they still want me to come in, I'm there to come in. We're not shaking hands anymore. We laughed a little about that in a meeting last week, bumped some elbows as they've done. And, before we left, we all went and washed our hands in the restroom. But to take it a step farther for the dealers who are going to remain open, and, I think getting that messaging out and being aligned with what Chevrolet is doing. So, for instance, my dealer, I received emails from as well, two of my dealers, outlining the steps they're taking, but taking it a step farther. So, for instance, Herb Chambers cares. We represent Chevrolet. Here's what we're doing to ensure, a safe experience for you as our customer, and taking that messaging everywhere. Having a banner or a message on the homepage of their website stating exactly what the dealer's doing and offering to come to them or even pick up their cars for service, right? When they're responding to leads for those people who are shopping, putting a link or, some kind of short video in there saying, hey, here's the steps we're taking to keep your experience safe here at our dealership. So just kind of aligning themselves with what Chevrolet is already doing, I think will help greatly for the dealerships who are going to keep their doors open. But like I said, I don't know. I mean, I've got some friends in Florida still because, as you know, I was down there quite a bit. Two of my friends work in service departments, and I know they were talking about how busy service is. A friend of mine who's an advisor at a Honda store posted this morning, when's lunch at like 8 o'clock? They had no cars on the drive. This was down in the Tampa area. And for a Honda store, that's unheard of. So I think we all just, again, going back to being flexible. What can we do as a team at Maritz to help support our zone, help support the dealers, and help them with their customers at the end of the day?
Well put, Simon. Absolutely. Yeah, if we got to be careful we don't get into a one-size-fits-all mentality. That probably is a menu for disaster or failure. Well put, brother. Really appreciate it. Miss Jane Butoric. How are you, Jane? And I have talked to you lately. How you doing, and how you feeling about all this stuff?
I'm doing good. To me, it's a land of opportunity. So I have the opportunity to to help the zone and show them some different ways. We have so many opportunities out there to do virtual meetings. In fact, one of my highlights I submitted over the weekend was just refreshing a dealer again, because everyone had changed on Playbook, and the DP knew nothing about it. And he was just amazed by the information there. So we can do a lot like that. We have Playbook, we have SSO, we have the retail operating system, we have the new BDC supports. And I have to put a plug in for that, because if you haven't been on it yet, and I was going to post it to community but didn't have a chance, there are 2 WebExes coming up this week on the BDC supports. One is on service conversion, and the one that I believe is tomorrow or Wednesday is on equity mining versus data mining, and that just sounds real interesting to me. So if you get a chance, head over to BDC supports, because they did refresh it last Monday. We have the phone dashboard, we have the My Rewards app, we have eStrike, we have DSA in the showroom, TSA. I mean, there's just so many things that we can cover from a virtual realm. And then, as always, it just started me thinking about ideas too. Krista and I were talking this morning, and we're so glad that you're having this brainstorming, because obviously there's just opportunities for the dealership now. If they haven't been sending videos, this is the perfect time to learn it and start, because the salespeople are going to have time to do it. And if they're not sending videos, or if BDC is not sending videos, then this is a time to dig deeper and do it. You can attack your schools and teachers. I mean, everyone's out, which is actually good in the sense that now they have time to get their cars serviced. So perhaps they add a banner on their websites, giving teachers or educators a special, or again, a concierge service to come and pick up their cars. I was just thinking of, I love alliteration. So to me, it's just advertising that we're Chevy clean, something like that. And then, Marsha was talking about how to use the CPT unit, or CTP units, CTP units, easy for me to say. And I just was thinking too, it would be the perfect opportunity to pack them with care bags. There's kids going without lunches right now or whatever, and perhaps delivering them to, I'm not sure where, or perhaps setting up a drive where people could just even drive through the service lane to pick up care bags, or a stress bag with some stress balls and lotions or something in it. But just so many opportunities that you can do. I also plan on trying to get a wall painted too. So that's my big opportunity. So
that is amazing. That is amazing. Jane, fantastic. I really wish, though, you'd refrain from using those big words. You always do that to me. I was, from Brooklyn. I was dropped on my head as a child, and I went to high school in the 60s. So, I have very limited cognitive capabilities, Mr. Petard. I joke, I jest. Yeah.
Well, that's the big word. I didn't think I used anything big. Opportunity, is that too big?
Alliteration.
Alliteration. Oh, sorry. Oh, that one. Yeah, yes. Okay.
Okay, I joke. I have my staff looking up for me now. In a thesaurus.
But I have to say, I love Scott McMaster's idea too, that really this week really is just a reset week.
Yeah.
I think for everybody, and we just need to cool our jets, and pull it back in for a teeny bit and let people reset. We've just canceled a vacation for the whole family that we were going on next week. We've got kids home 24/7 now, and it really is just a reset week for everybody.
And when we come out on the other side, it's, pick your poison. I mean, 9/11, I was in private practice at the time. I had my own thing going with a guy, and, everything, even when the dust settled, we're going into a different world. We're going to have new discoveries, new inventions because of this, so great points, Jane. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Let me go to Miss Robin Farrow in the Philly zone. Robin, how are you? And what you feeling? What you thinking?
Hey, Kevin, how are you?
I'm
okay. Yeah, probably feeling a little bit of anxiety like everybody else. But thank you, Dawn. Shout out to Dawn for that awesome little 2-pager. That was really, really good. I kind of sent that out this morning to my zone team and contacts at dealers, BDC, and some managers and things, and I got some good feedback from my zone team, so they really liked that. So it was a good kind of introduction just to kind of keep my name out there and offer my services virtually or in-house as needed. as as we go through these uncertain times. And I just added a couple little tidbits to that email that I thought I'd share, because I'm getting so many good ideas from this conversation today. So thank you everyone for all of your ideas. But I thought I added in my email out to my contacts about now's a good time to, about the, online training, just going and kind of brushing up on resources from the BDC support app, because the refresh is really great. It's easier to find information. So, there will be some more downtime likely at dealerships. So to get some of that online training done, and then also too, buttoning up CRM processes. I know, in conversation with a lot of stores, sometimes updating follow-up processes, it's time consuming and it gets put on the back burner just because it does take a lot of time updating templates and looking at all that stuff. So now's a good time to really kind of peel back and look at your CRM processes if you have the time and it's a little bit slower, to kind of change it up. And I offered a mystery shop too as well. So if stores wanted to kind of get a quick 7-day mystery shop, I offered that out as an opportunity to kind of revamp processes. So I think additionally too, I don't know how I'm going to kind of stay in communication with the stores. I was thinking one of the things that I shared last week with my stores that I thought was pretty powerful. I just shared a real life example that happened to me. I did receive an email from many emails over the last couple of days, but one email in particular on the loyalty side of things, where it was just an informational email that I had these points. And just wanted to let you know, hey, you got $35 worth of points. I didn't even know I was a member of this loyalty company. I didn't even know I had this money. I had no idea when I signed up for them, but it made me click on the email and go into it and say, okay, what do I have $35 for? Long story short, I ended up going onto the website and shopping that particular day and spending $100 out of my own pocket that I had no intention of spending that day, but simply because I got an email saying that I had points to use. So I think I'm talking to a few stores and I think we can help use Playbook. Again, somebody mentioned about a refresher, holding some virtual refresher sessions on the My Rewards piece in Playbook, and just putting together simple campaigns, very simple campaigns of reaching out to customers saying, hey, you've got these points, and then the call to action to drive them back to the website to look for accessories and service and get them to shop in the comfort of their home online, so that when they're ready to come into the store, or they could just purchase online. So just a few ideas that I had, and I shared out with my Zone teams and my dealers.
That's great.
Pretty much it.
That's great. What a great testimony.
I think that too, the social media piece, just now's a good time for us to make sure there's a champion in-house, with our dealers, because that's where I've been going for getting a lot of real-time information just for me, because I'm going to a few concerts coming up. So I've been keeping track on social media to see what's been postponed, what's canceled. So I think dealers should really make sure, obviously, their social media presence is kind of live and fluid and changing and up to date.
Yep. Well put. Thank you, Robin. That is a great loyalty testimony, man. That's fantastic. Miss Sattel, Linda Sattel, up in the Milwaukee area. Hi, Linda. How have you been? And what are you thinking? What are you toying with going forward?
So everything here is going pretty well. I'm just not getting caught up in any of the hysteria with the media, and just trying to stay really grounded with dealers. I'm doing a lot more phone calls, although I still have 3 meetings for this week to go. So just staying really adaptable in terms of, if anybody wants to cancel or reschedule or whatever, but so far we're good to go. A couple months ago, one of the biggest dealers, actually the biggest one in Wisconsin, is called Holtz, and we started a Carvana type process. They called it Holtz Dash, and we were just putting the final refinements on the process when the coronavirus hit. So they are up and running, and they're really having a great opportunity to try it out and work some of the kinks out. And they do such high volume that it's going to be really interesting, but it was just interesting timing that we had already laid out the entire plan for it. So that's kind of fun. Other dealers are doing well. The BDC managers and personnel, some are starting to work from home. We have an app on Slack, so we are communicating there for doing some outgoing campaigns. And I guess I'm really trying to instill a business as usual, even though it's very different right now, but keep going. Chevrolet is doing their part. I think it's amazing what their messaging is, and we can align with that. So I really don't see this whole thing as all bad.
Absolutely. Thank you, Linda. Some great ideas. Absolutely. Hey, Sheila Judge had to leave. If you haven't met Sheila, she's a Chevy BDM. She's down in Alabama, part of the Southeast team. She sent me an email. She said, had to get off, but I suggest to service to offer interior car cleaning and washing, along with air cabin and engine fuel filter replacement if they have the personnel. That's a pretty darn good idea. It's fantastic. And again, thank you, Linda. Appreciate your thoughts on that. Mr. Buntoff, Chris Buntoff, Southeast, Atlanta, Georgia, Atlanta. How you doing, Chris? And what are your thoughts on this matter?
Doing good. I'm going to echo what a lot of people said, but before I do that, Linda, I bought my first car from Holtz Chevrolet way back when, so that name just sort of took me back down memory lane.
Thanks, Chris.
But to echo kind of, and also Dawn, I sent your list to my zone manager and asked her what parts of that she would like me to either flesh out or work out a little further to help the team. But like Scott, things are changing so fast. In fact, since we got on this call, the government has recommended no more than 10 people in a gathering. So this could affect what's going on at dealers. In fact, my car is at the dealer right now getting fixed, and I'm not even sure when I'm going to get it back. But I have one of their cars, so we're good. What I've been doing, though, is Glenda and I have been working on some virtual My Rewards trainings. We started that about a week ago, so the timing is kind of good. We've got 4 sessions next week. I am working, my zone manager suggested we take a deep dive into dealer websites and then have virtual meetings discussing what we found so they can clean up their websites. You know, we're all talking about doing our own kind of, cleaning and little projects at home because we're not necessarily going to be on the road as much. Kind of doing the same with dealers, getting the salespeople to practice doing walk-around videos, get them to get caught up on their training, sort of get housekeeping so when things are a little more stable and we know where they're going, that they're ready to hit the ground running and make up for anything we lose during this weird time. So that's pretty much what I'm up to. I'm also going to start my mystery shops of all the dealers that I am assigned to. So I'm going to get deep into that and dive into the mystery shop in a box stuff some more and just keep busy and keep adding value.
Chris, really appreciate it. Great perspective as always. Absolutely. Do you still have the car that you bought in Milwaukee? You sell it?
No, I won't even tell you what kind of car that was, but it was a used non-GM car that lasted about 1.5 years.
Gotcha. Roger copy. Got it. Thank you, man. Hey, John Marsh, covering much territory up in the East. My Rewards. John, how you doing and how you feeling about this going forward?
Well, hey, I just thought I'd jump in on the call and hear everyone. Yeah, I mean, I empathize with everyone's feelings on this and what the marketplace is. Sort of in Scott's camp there. I've been focusing on throwing the dart on the calendar 3, 4, 5 weeks out and kind of projecting out where I'm going to need to be at that time cycle and holding a good thought for that. So, that's much of what I'm trying to do is kind of look forward a little bit past the immediacy of today and this week, and what do I got to be doing then? So that's just with my calendar and having to be spread out. That's what I've been focusing on. But all good thoughts. Thanks for letting me drop in.
Hey, John, anytime. We really appreciate all the hard work you do with the entire loyalty team, but that's good. I think My Rewards, I think we're going to get some innovative direction with this as we go forward. No doubt about it. Nancy, how are you? It says Dorantini here, but I know that it's no longer Dorantini. But anyway, Nancy, how are you?
That's right. It's not. I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Other than I'm a 66-year-old man nervous about getting the germ. Other than that, I'm fine.
No. We had that conversation yesterday with our small group at church. We have several members that are 70 and they're like, we are healthy, we are good. Why are you trying to trap us in our house kind of conversations? It's there's a lot of mixed feelings out here, and every day the governor comes out and adds some more requirements. So it's an interesting minefield we're dodging through right now. Love the ideas that a lot of people have had. I think one of the things, and I've been receiving them too from the airlines and the hotels and the car rental places about, here's what we are doing to protect you. Even my gym, I walk in there, they've got gloves on and they're wiping down the equipment. Even if I wipe it down, you're going to see them going after. They've really amped up the frequency of cleanings. But I think for me, when I look at it, it's first, what are we doing on the website? What are my dealers posting on the homepage of the website to help calm those fears? So part of my deal today is I'm just going to go look and see if anybody had any bright ideas about, what can we do? Back to some of the things that I heard earlier. I also find this a great opportunity space. A lot of the dealerships don't do well with longer term follow-up of all their leads. And it doesn't matter if it's internet, it doesn't matter if it's phone, or even if they've been in the dealership. This is an awesome opportunity. These people aren't out of market yet. They're just concerned. And I can tell you that I haven't seen anything from any of the stores that I have coming out and saying, hey, by the way, we're still open for business. Here are the things that we are doing. So I look at this as a great space to do a lot of cleanup. Do we have good leads in there with good email addresses and good phone numbers? Do we have some good word tracks for those longer out leads that we haven't looked at for a while? They're there. They want to buy, but they have that sense of fear in them, and we just have to help them. Here's what we are doing. How are you doing? Do you want us to bring the vehicle to you for a test drive? Getting them to think a little bit differently. Back to the videos of the vehicles of interest, but just regenerating some of that interest again, because they're out there and the dealerships haven't done well, typically speaking, in doing that longer term follow-up. And I think this is a great opportunity to clean up the data in their CRM. That means, getting out to them, here's where you need to clean up. And then getting them to consider looking at leads that are over 14 days old and begin to reach back out to them with some different types of messaging. That's my thought.
Good, Nancy, really good. To piggyback on that, man, there's a jewel sitting in Global Connect and apps, and that's that lead management app. Yeah, man, go in there, and of course it's limited, as you know, to GM third-party native leads and all that sort of thing. But man, what a great opportunity to go back and follow up, maybe revisit the original trade. Maybe there's better incentives than there were when they were here 30 days ago, and so on. So really good point, really good reminder.
Yeah, and there are. Saw those this morning.
Yeah, exactly. Tie it right into that. So fantastic, Nancy. Thank you. Miss Glenda Luckett, my former drive growth partner, and holding down the fort down there in the St. Louis area. Glenda, how are you, and how you feeling about things?
I'm doing well, thank you. And I feel pretty good. There's been a lot of great ideas that I've heard on the call today, but I really like what I think Nancy said about the website messaging. I've been reviewing my Focus Dealers websites today, and I'm about halfway through them, and I haven't seen any messaging about this situation. No messaging regards to them being open for business or any type of special. So I think I would start there with helping my dealers work through messaging with, that they're open for business, that they can service vehicles, that they are taking steps to make sure everything is clean and sanitized, and that they're available to help their customers. So I think I would start with there, and then once that is complete, move into some opportunities for using Playbook and Service Smart's data for messaging to customers.
Glenda, I really appreciate it. I think, yeah, that message is loud and clear. I think, there's got to be a level of promotion on how our retailers are making the environment safe in the event that a customer does show up, maybe with long term. So really good. Appreciate it. Absolutely good stuff. Mr. Black, Jim Black in the house. How are you, Jim? And enjoyed riding with you fairly recently. How you doing, buddy? And what are you thinking about as we go forward?
Thanks, Kevin. Excuse me. Doing well. Concerned like everybody. I think what Scott said earlier that I think this could be just the tip of the iceberg. It's going to be a crazy week. We haven't hit the peak yet, so and on that Chevy call, I kept kind of treading that line of being too opportunistic to your customers and things like that. So I would get out there and promote the free stuff like the OnStar, the Wi-Fi, Chevy Cares, the dealer cares. Do some My Reward stuff. A lot of people have points out there, like it wasn't Dawn, but somebody said that they were a member of a program, didn't even know about it. And we have a lot of My Rewards members that don't even know. So your online presence and your VDC experience is probably going to be more important than ever. Because I don't think you'll have a lot of, and you don't want to probably drive a lot of people into the showroom. You want to reach out to them if they want the assistance. So it's being patient, being cautious, and kind of treading that line a little bit of showing you care, but not coming across opportunistic either.
Well put, Jim.
And I, just personally for me, how it's hit me is I got twins that are seniors in college, and they have now been told that they are done with classes and there are no commencements, no ceremonies. So it's like, 30 years from now, they're going to look back and say, this is how my college life ended. It's kind of sad, very sad.
Wow. Yeah, that's intense, man. This is the stuff not all of us think about, but I really appreciate that, Jim. Very helpful. Mr. Kraus, John Kraus, appreciate you joining us again. You become a regular, and we really glad you're joining us. What's on your mind? What are you thinking about?
Well, Kevin, appreciate you holding these calls like you do. I first want to say I really appreciated a strong message by Chevy. I thought they came out and said, here's things we're doing and here's things we're looking at, and they really kept a positive focus. And I think for all of us, we are professional facilitators. A facilitator sets the tone. And I think it's very important that we're sensitive to everybody around us, whether it's on a phone, a web class, in person. But realize there's a lot of scared people out there right now, especially going on age differences and things of that nature. But I think anything we can do to keep a positive tone, which is one, sensitive to the people around us, but also preaching wisdom, being safe with the hand washing, with whatever we can do to, elbow bumps, things like that. But realizing that we're going to set a tone in every conversation we have, even when we hang up off this call. What can we do to be a positive tone setter moving forward? Also giving a quick plug for classes that you have organized for Tuesday and Thursday at 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock p.m. that moving forward, probably short term, midterm, maybe longer term, there could be a much greater need for online gatherings like we're doing right now with dealers or groups. And so one thing that we can all do is send out emails to our field team, to our people that are in our list of people that we've already offered training to or we've sent emails to, letting them know, same thing, that we're here and available if you have training needs and maybe you send out that list of everything that people are talking about in this class of here's some of the things that I'd be happy to help you with, and you send those emails out, and as people start to respond, you start booking your calendar and able to teach from home, and whether it's reviewing a website or other things of that nature. My last thing is that we have all been tasked with service voucher redemptions, dealers that have missed 3 or more in January, and now there's a February list. This project is something, I've done a lot of these live because they're dealers close by me, but it's something that could be done via web as well. And I just created a form that I use with dealers that has their dealership name and their their BAC listed on top. And there's a question that who processes voucher. I type their response to that, and then I say, what should your voucher redemption process look like? And I type their responses to that. And then I drop down and look at the specific ROs, and I've sort of saved all the fields so I can just very quickly help the dealer through it, but capture what happened on those ROs. Where did their process break down? And then down at the very bottom, I have a corrective action section and a general note section. But this is, in doing these, this has proved very helpful. I've probably done it with about 16 dealers, and the first couple had their processes in place, and I'm going, uh-oh, GM sent me on a wild goose chase here. But everybody since has had either people and or process issues that they've been very appreciative. So if you have a short list of dealers that you work with, that's something else you can help them with live or over the web.
Fantastic, John. Hey, if you haven't already, if you could post that to community. I haven't seen it, and I'd love to take a look at it because we're wrestling with that, obviously, like everybody else. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I will post that. If anybody, in the old days, I used to be able to go into Word and you could tab through preset fields, and for the life of me, I can't find it in my current version of Word. So if anybody knows how to do that, I'll put the form on community, and if somebody can enhance it, if they've got better word skills than me, but I used to know how to do it.
Trust me, we got the talent out there to do it in this crowd, man. There's some brilliant people amongst this 89-person crew we're working with. Yeah, so put a note in there, say, hey, help a brother out and fix me up with that. So most helpful, John. Thank you. Appreciate you. Miss Jones down in New Orleans. How are you, Michelle? And what's cooking? Where's your mind at going forward?
Hey, y'all. So many great ideas have come across already, and I want to edify all those because I've been taking notes, and I think they're great. But just initial reaction, first day back in the office since, everything shut down on Friday, essentially. The sort of thing that keeps popping to my mind is, I know this sounds weird, but sales goes up and down and service stays forever. I love that that slogan, and it is so true. And I think that it has so many applications of the opportunities that we have right now. And in a sort of a weird way, I don't know who said this. I think Jane said this. Like, this whole situation is also kind of edifying because this is providing prime examples, this situation. Sorry, let me shut my phone off. This whole situation is providing prime examples of what we talk about every single business development meeting we do. We talk about customer retention. We talk about making sure your digital presence is strong. We talk about marketing and video marketing and what are we doing on social media. Guess what? We just got, I think now more than ever, the dealers are going to see, oh my gosh, they've been harping on that for months, and look, now more than ever, we need to make sure we are locked and loaded on this. So what are we going to focus on right now? I think I think we're in a very developing situation. But I think my feeling is that we have to look internal at what we're doing as BDMs, as our BDM team, and also what the dealership is doing internally. So one thing I want to share though from best practices. So I heard somebody say, I think it was Ann, about the use of virtual. So obviously now, as we're going to see tomorrow in our calls, that's going to be sort of become a standard for us in terms of the communication channels that we have to use. And so one thing I want to point out is, coming from an events background, doing events for thousands and thousands of people, if your AV is screwed up, you are dead in the water. So I encourage all of you smarty pants to get the best webcam you can get, and also to get either a headset that's wired for the best audio, because if we start having all these meetings and it's shrieky or screechy, we're just not going to get good engagement, right? So that's one thing that I need to do. I'm looking on Amazon right now trying to figure out which new headset I'm going to get. But in terms of our dealers, right? So I think the whole Chevy Cares has the right tone and tenor. What things that I'm going to, after I meet with my field team, hopefully tomorrow, what things I'm going to maybe throw out there is for us to look internally and see what we can do to reach out to our existing customers, right? And not think with the sales hat on. I know I'm the sales BDM, but think about taking care of our family. Like when all this started rolling down all weekend, we were like, all right, let me check in with mom. Let me see what grandma needs. Let me go see what my aunt needs, right? So look internally, take care of our employees, make sure everybody's, okay. Then let's look at our customer base. Let's take care of the customers that we have in pocket right now. Hey, Mr. Customer, do you need help with your car? Is there anything we can do to help you right now? I love the idea of, and I think Glenda said this, looking at your customer, your dealer websites to see who has created a COVID-19 response already. And sadly, I haven't seen any of those either. So, encouraging them to communicate frequently, not too frequently, but, saying, hey, we're here. This is what we're doing. Totally love the ideas about taking pictures and videos of the staff cleaning. Brilliant. What else? Oh, and positioning ourselves as we are reaching out to our existing customers, right? With all the tools that we have, whether it's Playbook or Service Smarts Online or the Manifest or whatever, as their trusted transportation partner. We're not trying to make a sale. We are trying to make sure you are taken care of. You're their trusted transportation partner.
Well done.
All right.
Well done,
That's
Michelle.
it.
Thank you. Really appreciate that. Yeah, we had a lead call this morning, and I said it's time to unleash our entire arsenal of all those, I call them the old compass skill sets, that we got all those great tools, get up to snuff, and just utilize anything and everything we can to adapt to each dealer. So well put. Miss Townsend, Laura Townsend, been patiently waiting, a regular on a monthly call here. How you doing, Laura? And what's on your mind? What are you thinking, sister?
I am terrific. Well, gee, after all of those, what's left? But the slide, when I was looking at when I was watching the presentation, that stood out to me more than anything. There was a slide that he had on there that said All In Chevy Cares. And I liked All In Chevy Cares, and I think I'm going to jump off on that and try to get some of my dealerships to tape something internally, kind of something on what everybody's talking about, where we could say Feldman Chevrolet, we're all in Chevy Cares, and then we could have 5 or 6 different bullet points that we could show people. One of them saying we're all in to service your needs. We're all in to wipe down your vehicle upon delivery and service. We are all in to deliver the vehicle to you. We are all in. We're wearing gloves for your protection. We are all in keeping your dealership sanitary and clean for your health, and we are all in with unprecedented offers. And do a little video like that we can then put on our site and actually send out in email contacts also.
You don't mess around, Laura. I love it. I think you guys can see it. Let me make sure I got my audience view. Yep, I think that's the slide you're talking about. I was taking a few screenshots while I were talking today. So that is a great way to take.
Yeah,
Go
That's
ahead.
the one that stood out to me, and that can make it much more personal, and they can be, each slanted to each dealership, but kind of a commitment pledge to them, and it can be very personal and posted. So we'll see who buys in.
Perfect. And it's right in line with what Chevy's doing, and it's all good, no doubt. Thank you very much, Laura.
We'll see.
All right. Crystal Coveney, how are you? And what's on your mind? What's cooking?
Hi, I'm good. I'm sorry I got on late. I had a dealer call. I'm I've got to call out to my zone manager to talk to him to see what direction they're wanting to go in. I'm still just working one-on-one with BDCs a lot, so I'm going to try to come up with some modified word tracks for them to use for this. And I kind of liked the last person's comments about gloves and kind of like maybe the white glove treatment. So other than that, I'm not real sure yet.
Yep, I understand. It's a lot of heads are spinning, but Chris, I always appreciate your input, and I know you got a lot of BDC background, so anything you can toss on the community, we always value. Thank you. Mr. Russ, Drew Russ, how are you? Pittsburgh, man. How you doing, Drew? And what are you thinking about going forward, brother?
I really liked the WebEx. I mean, as far as instilling confidence, I thought Steve Hill and Marketing Maduris did a great job. Chevy Cares, I was, just writing down some words. It is a strong message. It's compassionate. It's a message of goodwill. And, we've been talking about the numb state of not only us, but our customers and our dealers. And Majuris brought up, towards the end, it's not what we say, it's the tone that we're at. So there's a lot of prognosticators, and you do it in your social circles about the way this is rolling out. I think now we need a voice of calm. And I liked how they delivered that. And I also like, all these other ideas, like from Scott's, we'll bring the vehicle to you. Love to get more information on that. From Jane's Land of Opportunity with teachers and educators. I mean, that's terrific. I mean, 0% for 84 months, 120 days deferred would work out perfect for them. So it really is the land of opportunity. But I thought Nancy kind of summed it up the best when she says we're common fears by helping them, by helping the customer. So how do we help them? We help them with ideas like Jane's, opportunities, what Robin was talking about, helping them with their CRM follow-up processes. And she mentioned the mystery shop. I just debriefed one on a virtual just this afternoon. Also John talked about the tone as well, and I thought that was really good. And I also liked what Michelle talked about, and service is forever. So service is going to be stable there. So there's opportunity, for us there as well. So there's a lot of opportunity, but it starts with setting the tone. And I think we could lead by example there.
Russ, Drew, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Miss Lauren Pastor up in Albany, New York. How are you, Lauren? And what's on your mind?
Hello.
How are you?
No, this was all really great. And honestly, the call this morning was great. I think that it's exactly what everyone needed to hear. As far as, I'm not going to go over everything everybody said, because honestly, just all really great ideas. I took a lot of notes. I am actually working with both my ADI and my OnStar rep. I have calls with them both tomorrow, and we are going to coordinate WebExes together. So we're actually going to do an accessory, my rewards, and the OnStar enrollment with OnStar. So we're going to offer, and they're going to communicate that with their dealers, contacts. I'll try to get it to my contacts, and we're going to try to do some things like that together and encourage people to, that maybe they have a little bit more time on their hands, but we're going to just try to do some training while maybe people have a few more minutes to sit there, get on training. So that is going to be something that we offer. Obviously, with all of this, I have emails out to all of my DSMs just with some different ideas as far as how I can help and different WebExes that I can, trainings and obviously continue on with Drive Growth and things of that nature. But this is kind of a separate channel that I'm going to work with both the ADI and OnStar Rep.
Very good, Lauren. Fantastic. The OnStar, we can't state it enough. The OnStar Crisis Assistant Services, certainly that's a great idea, tying it in. What a perfect time for that. Well done. Really appreciate it. And my man in Metro New York, Mr. John Mance. John, how are you, sir? And what's on your mind? What are your thoughts, brother?
I figured you called on me last, so I didn't contaminate anybody or pass along anything. I would say that it's refreshing to hear all the news from around the world there, that life goes on, because in the New York area it doesn't seem quite the same. So along those lines, although I haven't heard from a lot of dealers because we haven't reached out to them, but I talked to one of my DSMs today, and because his daughter has the flu, he's kind of quarantined himself to not go to places and infect anybody with the flu. We've talked about how we're gonna do go to meetings with his district's worth of dealers. So and we talked about dealers and how we're going to put stuff together. We actually did a meeting today, although we didn't have the dealer on the other side because they had an emergency dealer group meeting, and I haven't heard the results of that yet. We're concerned that many dealers in this zone could actually just close their doors for a while. So that's going to kind of curtail any of our meetings. But the one thing he did talk about is they don't have access to GoToMeeting. We do. So my thought is I'm going to talk to the other district managers too, because I don't think there's going to be a lot of person-to-person meetings going forward, at least for the immediate future. And the fact that we do have a GoToMeeting format that I can work with them on is kind of the help that we can offer. So I'm looking forward to your instructions in the next days or so, tomorrow and Thursday, so I can learn all the good stuff. The other thing is, when we're talking to the dealers, right now, most of the dealers are set up that internet leads are handled by the BDC, and then they turn it over to the sales folks. And I think what I'd like to see is going forward is they're not going to have anybody walking into the showroom. So they really need to have a hybrid arrangement of BDC to sales folks. So they have to have sales folks working right alongside them in the BDC to answer the questions. So that's kind of what I'm going to promote. And service-wise, I have dealers already starting this way. They're having trouble getting people in. They just, they're not going to go in for an oil change to expose themselves at this point. But if you can get them on a recall, they may come in. So they're actually looking at the recall lists and leveraging that. So that's the plan of attack from the New York hot zone.
And at Greenwich, we had an employee. I'm sure there's many other locations too, but I think, wasn't it you or Matt said one of the Greenwich stores had an employee test positive?
Well, no,
it was Greenwich.
It's kind of sort of news, but not that way.
Gotcha.
There's an employee at the Greenwich Cadillac store whose girlfriend, somebody in his girlfriend's family, tested positive. So the dealer principal asked that tech to go home and self-quarantine himself. And we haven't heard the result yet, but I did hear that sales consultants that work at Greenwich Cadillac told them they're not coming to work anymore until this is over. So that's kind of the stuff we're starting to deal with here.
Well, that's intense. That's intense.
So it's a little different environment here in the the New York zone.
Well,
but it is nice to know that life goes on out there.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, New Rochelle, man, that's a hot spot, no doubt.
I have a dealer there.
Yeah, it's crazy. You are not the last one, by the way, Mr.
Oh, really?
Kelly Brown is in the house from another hot spot, Washington State. Kelly, how are you,
Spokane,
sir?
Washington.
What's cooking, man?
Well, I'm actually in Kalispell, Montana. I had a little bit of a drive this morning getting up here, but I guess I've got on the tail end of your presentation here, and I really love the theme Chevy Cares, because I find that customers don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right? And I really like that approach. So I'm going to adopt that and implement that strategy also. But another thing, I would just what I'm going to focus on, it looks like I'm probably going to be doing more webinars like everybody was talking about. And I've been doing a lot, as you know, a lot of mystery shops. So I'm going to focus on doing my mystery shop presentations here pretty soon. And that'll give me, quite a bit of material to present to the dealers. So that's, with all the other things that have been discussed with everybody else, I think that's going to be my approach. So
it's really good, Kelly. And I would
that's
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I'm done. Thanks.
Okay. I think the follow-up to those two, I would prefer to be in the dealer, but I think virtual sessions lend themselves well to corrective action. Once you do the mystery shop, you do a diagnosis, you come to an agreement on where vulnerabilities in the process might be. And I think virtually you get the right people on the other side, you can definitely correct, make some improvement there, tying that drive growth data in. So that's good to hear, Kelly. And I enjoy reading your stuff.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
All right, you bet.
All right, my brother. How's it up there, Kelly? How far do you live from that whole area where that senior center was? And all
I'm 300 miles away from the senior center, but just to let everybody know, I read on autoblog.com that Kirkland Toyota, which is a suburb of Seattle, is right near the epicenter of the outbreak in Seattle. And it just about gutted that dealership because they had an employee that tested positive. And I was reading about it. Can you imagine customers don't even want to go in there,
Sure.
So it hasn't happened in my area to that extent. For example, Spokane, where I live, is about 600,000 people. We have 2 or 3 people that have tested positive that we know of.
Wow.
So it's not an epidemic yet, but everybody's all on pins and needles like everywhere else.
Yeah, sure. So, thank you. Is anybody out there on phone only in their vehicle or who did not log in to go to meeting? Anybody just listening in?
That would be me, Nancy.
Nancy, how are you? You thought I forgot about you. How you doing, sister? What's going on?
No, I didn't think you forgot about me. I just have been listening. There's so many great ideas that have come through. I'm, always happy to be on this call because I get so much that I can harvest. But the two things, a couple of things stood out, and I think someone else also mentioned it. Scott Whitmer noted, everybody going in the dealership and seeing people in gloves, that should give some sort of reassurance. And then someone else mentioned and thought of something as well. And why don't we turn that into a white glove moment? Or so, is there a way to translate the regular little neoprene gloves that you see to more of a professional white glove atmosphere in the dealership? And I love that. And then I've already got 3 of my drive growth meetings next week have already now been turned into virtual meetings because one of the DSMs is self-quarantining, I guess is the best way to say that, because she has recently had the flu and just recuperating from that. So she's taking all precautions. So those have turned into virtual drive growth meetings. And that along with some of these other great ideas will give me more time to do some of the things that I've been wanting to do. I saw something that the Beverly Hills Hotel has sent out, and it was basically saying if you're uneasy to come see us or be with us during this time, let us at least introduce ourselves to you so for the future. So they had they're showcasing a different employee every day and how that employee is there to care for you when you're ready. So from the spa person, some of the cleanliness and disinfecting that they do all the time, not just now, and to the concierge person whose knowledge of the city is immense, to the maitre d' whose service during his restaurant will be impeccable. And so every day they're showcasing a different person, but the underlying message is, we're here when you're ready, and here's why you should come visit us. And I love that idea. That could easily be translated to an auto dealership. And one of the things I have been saying for the last couple of months, with all of the new stuff that we've had opportunity to do, such as the mystery shops, I've been saying, when I have time, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to go through that training again, or I'm going to go learn more about that, or I'm going to go set up my Google Voice, and when I have time. And now I'm realizing, the time has come for me to do this, because not only do I have more time now to do that, but then that's just going to make me stronger when things eventually return back to normal, and I can then use those skills I've learned to better my dealership and better my presence in the dealership. So that's the silver lining I've taken away from this. And by the way, Ford already has a video out very similar to what Chevrolet Cares is all about. And it starts off saying, in times, a long history, or I think it says for the last 80 years or whatever, during times of struggle, we've been there for you, and they've got some screenshots of some previous campaigns gone back during times of trouble in the United States or the world. So I just thought that was interesting. You should see that one if you get a chance to see it. But that's really it. It's just, I think I'm taking all of the information that I've heard today and working with my DSMs to stay in front of our dealerships, even though we may not be there physically, and make myself stronger for when I can be in a dealership, serving our dealerships.
Awesome. Nancy, thank you. Well put. I love it. The white glove stuff, it's really cool. That's paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Anybody else
Mm-hmm.
phone only out there? Was it just Nancy? Anybody else? Okay. So listen, hang with me for a minute. I really appreciate, I think I've been watching the people coming and going, probably had 30, 35 people total brushing in and out of here. Couple of wrap up notes. One thing I'm taking out of this is I don't look at my junk mail, as much as I should probably. If ever there's a time to look at junk email and junk mail and see what other industries are doing in terms of, we're open for business. That's one thing that I'm going to pay attention to. Robin's story I thought was quite powerful, that I didn't even know I had rewards. I had $35 and I wound up spending $110. That's pretty strong stuff. I think the OnStar safety piece it's displayed right now that the whole 3 months of Wi-Fi data plus the crisis assistance, very strong. The website, just doing all those things that we claim we don't have time to do. That's pretty cool, and I like the focus on the employees. But I think the websites, if there's an urgency, it's the website messaging right off the bat that we're tending to this, we're clean, we're ready. When you come in, we'll make it as safe as possible. And I'll leave you with this thought. I think it's so surrealistic to me. I was born in '53. Grew up with all that madness. Kind of a hippie, I guess, in the day. And Vietnam, just missed that, and yada yada yada. Had my personal experience in the military. Certainly, JFK was big. The Challenger incident was big. 9/11 was big. And the list goes on of, I guess, traumatic situations. This one just seems it's not coming in with a smash mouth effect. It's kind of creeping in, and it's kind of eerie. And I think what yesterday really put me over the top, because I got a son who's 43. He's a really good guy. He lives out in Chicago. He's got 4 kids. They're beautiful. And my wife, as I mentioned early on, is we're both in the 60s, 66, born the same year. And she fought, like I mentioned, she fought breast cancer, And she has had some lung issues lately over the not like several years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, she had pneumonia, man. It was just weird and had a hell of a time fighting that off. So, she's really vulnerable about it. And man, he called and I was out back working on him doing a project on my new shed and she was just walking the dog. So I called her over and she had him on speaker and I actually started crying because it was one of the most loving things I've ever seen come from my son. He's like I say, he's a good guy. He's not like he's a prick or anything, but he's a good dude. But he was just so assertive in telling his mom not to shake hands, get in the house. And I was just awed by that. And it got me really thinking maybe I need to elevate my level of concern internally, looking out for it. So just FYI, a nice call. You all got your loved ones, your families. We're family. We'll look out for each other. But man, call those people you love and talk to them about it and reassure them and all those kinds of things. I think it's a good time for that. And I'll wrap it up with another shameless announcement, promotion of the webinars tomorrow and Thursday at 1 and 4. We're going to kind of, give a broad look at how to maneuver GoToMeeting, and I anticipate a lot of follow-up where we can work one-on-one, and I'll add more sessions as needed. But this was awesome. Thank you so much, and have a great evening. And I tape this. I'm going to post it to community, and I got 3 pages of notes that I'm going to try to make sense of. So God bless each and every one of you. Go get them, and have a good evening. Thank you.